If I was put in charge of the education system, and I was the education secretary, which is good or bad, the de facto head of the education system, there's two things I would do. The first thing is when I became the secretary, I would walk into that building and it would be my mission to put myself out of a job. I would cut bureaucracy, I would cut regulation, I would detangle the federal government from schools, from states, from local communities, get them out of the way, and let parents decide what is best for their kids.
How did we reach a point where parents, who are the primary stakeholders of their kids' education, both voluntarily send their kids to public schools for these indoctrination centers, this lack of a real quality education, 8 hours a day, and yet then are also deprived when they protest what's going on in these public school classrooms? They are the ones who are most disempowered. They are the voices that are the most marginalized. How did this happen?
Well, you know, it's been a really, really long process. Sam Blumenfeld, who we'll hear from in a little bit, and I document this in the book. If you go back really to the earliest time, you can look at Horace Mann, who imported the socialistic Prussian system with a goal toward indoctrinating kids in statism. You know, by today's standards, what he was into was very mild. Then you get into John Dewey, you know, around the late 1800s, early 1900s, who really hijacked the system that Mann brought over, literally for the purpose of doing what the system is doing today, which is indoctrinating the children, leaving them with a very, very poor education, if you can even call this an education, giving them reading disabilities. And his agenda was very clear. You know, he didn't even actually bother to hide it. He wrote about how he wanted to turn America into a communistic, a socialistic country with no private property. He was a very prominent humanist. He was one of the signers of the first Humanist Manifesto. And so his goal, and you know, they wrote this in the Humanist Manifesto, they wanted everybody to get over this idea about God, right? We need to drive God out because God doesn't exist. We need to believe in evolution and getting rid of private property. And so he was very open about his goal. He wanted to use the schools to bring about the kind of society that we currently see emerging right now, right? A post-truth society, a post-reality society where you know, the children are completely separated from any even knowledge of their heritage, of you know, the Judeo-Christian civilization that they were supposed to inherit. And so it's been a very long process. You know, we really can trace it back more than 150 years. But in the last few decades, the trends have been accelerating because, you know, each generation is actually getting dumber and dumber. And you can show this objectively if you look at the SAT scores. So it's been a long time coming, and I think we're still probably not at the end point, but you know, as we get closer to the end point, it becomes more and more apparent to any clear-thinking people that this is you know, just a monumental danger. It's a monstrosity. It's harming the children. It's harming our entire society, and it's going to have terrible consequences if we don't fix it.
Kyle makes a great point about getting the public, politicians, government, getting the Department of Education, getting the educrats, get them out of education, right? That's a first good step of returning power to the parents. And you closed your comment by bringing God back into it too, right? God and the broader view of education, the idea, because with God you have the possibility of individualism, right? If God exists, He made us all as unique individuals. We all have different gifts and talents and abilities. We all have different callings and vocations in life. That is a very different worldview from the collectivist worldview of people like Horace Mann, John Dewey, and almost the entire educational establishment today. Parents, can't stress this enough. Parents, you're going to lose every time unless you've got a strong belief in God on your side. And with God comes that recognition of individual worth, not collective worth. And get the politicians, get the educrats out of this. Parents, you have to stay faithful, and you have to take primary control of your kids' education. If you enjoyed this video and all of our videos, please consider a tax-deductible donation so we can keep the whole thing free for you. I'm Dr. Duke. Thanks for watching.